Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody? You're tuned into This is Iyanna Jones on the GoPro Radio Network. This is the GoPro Radio Block Party. We got Byron C. Saunders of the BCS Experience in here. And also Nina Markell of Food Rap. Holla!
Holla at your boy and your girl.
You can speak now, Byron.
You didn't ask the question.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, is you listening?
I is. Okay,
right.
now
Yay.
I'm live. Okay.
Yay, I also don't even have my sound effects together.
Yes,
but
yes,
listen,
okay.
guess what? It is a GoPro Radio Block Party. I'm going to be talking with several members of my GoPro family today. Byron C. Saunders of the BCS Experience, Nina Markell of Food Rap, and also a little bit later, we're going to be talking with Tylon Washington of Iron Metropolis.
Whoa.
The brand new show.
Yes.
I'm sorry, they kicked you to the curb, Nina. Food Rap was the new show, except now it's not because Iron Metropolis is in the building. And guess what?
What?
There's secrets in Iron Metropolis.
You know
so,
Uh-oh.
Save is going to be talking about that new show
Yes.
coming in at the 6 o'clock slot on Wednesdays.
Aye.
And it's like a party in your ears. It's crazy.
It's
All right.
awesome.
It's
I listened to it
crazy.
today. I couldn't get over how amazing it was.
I wonder if maybe we
Amazing.
can play a little bit of it during this show. Yeah, I'm just going to like show jack.
Amazing.
I'm jacking your show. Play it on mine.
There you go.
The number to call in today is 646-595-3807. That's 646-595-3807. And I must remind you all that today's show is sponsored by On the Move, sounds inspired by Mumia Abu Jamal. Is it this one? Is it this one? Yes! Look at it! Look at it! Accept it! It's On the Move, sounds inspired by Mumia Abu Jamal. This is a double CD disc, or actually it's a double CD comprised of 2 discs, which means that you have like a massive amount of music coming at you. And it's for a good cause. Of course, it's to support the case of Mumia Abu Jamal, who right now is in jail serving a life sentence. But more importantly than that, over 24 artists have come together to contribute to this CD and put together what's really a historic event,
Yes.
an historic audio event. You've got Public Enemy. Chuck D has been a longtime supporter of the GoPro Radio Network and also of BW Moving Images, so we salute him. Kafele Bandele, who's a wonderful jazz artist from New Orleans. Letitia Devine, great poet. Khalil Khan, even greater poet. Well, not that I'm comparing the two of them, but you know what I mean. He's fantastic. Maya Azucena, who's also a Grammy Award-winning artist, is on here. Voice of the Children. Yao, whose music has been featured, from what I understand, on Iron Metropolis as well. So Soon, one of our friends from Open Soul Sessions. Melinda Davis, also who we met through Open Soul Sessions. Hassan Salam, Jersey City's own. And he's a really, really successful independent artist, not been signed. Gets props all over the world. And he's not the only one on here who does that. Also, Immortal Technique is another one. Unsigned phenomenon in terms of just showing people how you can be successful as an artist without signing your soul away.
Exactly.
And
don't
yeah, go ahead.
don't forget this other very important artist that's on there.
To whom might you be referring?
We're talking about
Nana
Iyanna.
Jones.
Whenever
Jones.
whenever you say something that I find pleasing, I'm going to speak to you in this accent. To whom might you be referring?
That's right. The award winning.
Tis I.
That's right.
And by I mean Iyanna. Thank you for the shout out. I'm on here too, yes. And I'm actually on here twice. I'm
Yes.
singing a song called it's called Electric Company. But also I wrote a song that's on here called No Fear, and it's sung by one of my really good friends, Stephanie Rice, who's an amazing vocalist. And last but not least, in his own words, Mumia Abu Jamal is on this CD. So he's basically blessed this CD with his own voice. And so, there are a lot of different compilations that have been put together that people say, oh, we're doing this for this cause. But one thing that's great about this CD is that these artists all came together and created these songs specifically for this CD. So there was no like, oh, well, I already did this song, we'll just throw it on here. And Mumia heard about the music and he was just really touched, and he sent us a special message. So you can get an autographed copy of this CD.
Hello.
If you go to bwmovingimages.com.
Yes.
Tell them you heard about it on This Is Iyanna Jones.
Yes.
Or on Food Rap, or on the BCS Experience,
Hey.
or on K Thompson Live, or on New NRG, New Radio Generation, or on the Sexy Party Show, or on the Glenn Z Show.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
No. And then you'll get it autographed.
And you'll get it autographed.
Hello.
And if you already have like 12 copies of this, because if you have 2, that's not enough. You should have 12. But if you already have 12, you can still go to goproradio.com and hit the donate button.
Hello. Make a donation.
And it's easy. You just press a button and your money magically goes out of your account. I tell you, it's easy. It's like magic. It's magical. And it's so much fun. So go to goproradio.com and have fun donating money to us. It's like a game.
The love
You push the
game.
button. You feel this really great feeling inside that you're doing something special for a company, an organization that is really making moves, that is really becoming a platform for independent voices everywhere. Your money goes away, but it doesn't hurt. It's painless. You kill 2 birds with one stone.
And it goes for a great cause. Listener-sponsored radio.
That's what I'm saying. Although saying donate to a great cause and then killing 2 birds with one stone, those two things,
Okay.
those are non
They may
sequiturs.
not work together.
They don't.
But show us some love.
Yes,
and
please.
we'll show you love in return.
646-595-3807. 646-595-3807 is the number to call. All right, I'm going to refer to my encyclopedia, also known as my phone. I won't say what brand it is because we're still trying to secure the advertising from this company. But what I will say is that, I want to talk about a couple topics that have been bugging me. And I'll refer to my friend Byron Saunders of the BCS Experience to sort of elaborate on the issue. The first thing is affirmative action.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been around since the 80s.
Yes.
It's kind of fallen into the background of our national conversations. It's
Yes.
been taken as a given, so to
Yes.
speak. Except now it's back in the media, and people are up in arms.
Well, this portion of affirmative action is relative to the
To
educational...
the universities and
university
colleges.
system,
Or are
yes.
they just saying education just in general?
Education in the higher learning sphere.
Got it.
Okay. We remember Alan Bakke in that case with UCLA, I believe it was.
Yes.
Wanted to get into law school. That was the
And he claimed
challenge.
that affirmative action was working against him.
And
Yes.
so that was challenged then. And then now we have this particular challenge, which was from the state of Texas, almost similar to the Bakke case. And in this particular incident, the vote was 7-1. And what they effectively did was the Supreme Court kicked it back to the states to prove that the university systems programs of making sure that minorities get into these schools is not discriminatory.
Well, basically what they're saying is that it's supposed to be a method of last resort.
A method of last resort. Now, if you go to the records of major universities all across the country, there has been a huge decline in minority enrollment. Huge. Not just a little minuscule percentage here, percentage there, just so, the idea and the concept of affirmative action might be challenged. It's huge. The drop-off in these schools of minority students, qualified at that. And as a result, the Supreme Court, I think, punked out. They kick the balls back to these states who are, especially the ones in the southern states who have been trying to claim states' rights issues, as a method of putting it back into the hands of state legislators
But how?
who are not going to
Right.
reaffirm affirmative action.
Okay, but how in the heck did this get reintroduced? Like, why are we still talking about affirmative action? Aside from the obvious reasons,
Well,
but I mean,
two things. Number one, the Supreme Court is still very much conservative, even with the appointments of
Really?
yes, the
No.
5-4 vote with and of course Uncle Tom, what's his name?
Clarence Thomas.
Yes, I'm not claiming any part of him, but understand this:
He's like that. He's like that molester uncle that you
Yes.
tell your kids don't sit on.
He couldn't have
Don't sit on
gotten his
Uncle Clarence's
job.
lap because he will repeal all kinds of stuff.
And so the Reagan, Bush
Mhm.
appointees have affirmed a conservative court. Clarence Thomas could not have been even come close to being a justice on the Supreme Court were it not for affirmative action. So he is the one vote of all the votes that should have really awakened and said, you know what? There's no way I can vote it with the conservative wing on this. But he did. He sold his soul.
Yeah, but when you're that token, I mean,
Well,
you
he sold
know,
his soul. And ultimately he's a lawn jockey. He's the spook who sits by the door.
right?
Okay, and it was time for us to call him out. He's
He's that offensive cookie jar that people put away when their black friends are coming over.
Who let the dogs out?
Yes.
Anyway, so
I just can't because it's like calling it what it is. People talk about these political issues. For example, the fact that there is a Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court, and you wonder what he's doing up there when there's such disparity in terms of criminal justice and how it affects people of color.
absolutely.
So
that's basically
it's almost.
it.
I mean, for me, and don't try to hit me, Byron, but I'm just saying Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court is like Barack Obama in the White House. That's how I feel about it.
There's a huge difference.
Yes, I don't think so, and also I'm going to give myself a hand for that.
I actually agree with you. I have to agree with you on that.
They are not of the same cloth, not even close.
Yeah, but
Not even close.
could it be argued that they sort of serve the same function in terms of the collective psyche of this nation, in that when you see a Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court, it's like, oh, okay. Black people get chances to do stuff. You could kind of see that, being represented in the same way in the White House. I mean, and in terms of the symbolism of it, which I would argue is not enough. Symbolism's not enough. And so I'm not necessarily blaming Barack Obama for that, nor am I blaming Clarence Thomas for that. I mean, they're responsible for their own individual actions, but I'm saying clearly they're being acted upon in a specific way as it relates to this nation and how it still continues to view race. And, it's sort of counterpoint to why we're even having a discussion about affirmative action. It's almost as if the Supreme Court couldn't wait to get an opportunity to bring this up, perhaps when people were distracted by other things.
Well, they've been waiting for this one for a long time. They kept delaying it so that it would have its impact right now. And you
Sure.
may recall Clarence Thomas was himself embroiled in his confirmation hearings with a really cut and dry case of sexism and sexual harassment with Anita Hill, and at the point of which, when asked on Capitol Hill whether he had an opinion about abortion rights, he declined. He says, I have had no opinions whatsoever on abortion rights. Well, excuse me, I have had an opinion on abortion rights. That the time, as if that was a litmus test for him to be affirmed as a Supreme Court justice, he lied.
I know
There's no
fifth graders with an
way.
opinion on abortion
Thank
rights.
you.
Exactly.
There's no way he could not have had no opinion whatsoever and then be affirmed as a jurist. It's impossible. And over the time, remember, he was supposed to be the replacement for Thurgood Marshall.
I'm still
No
but can
comparison
we also
whatsoever.
talk about the fact, like, I'm serious, like, dude, weren't you like a crackhead?
Well, I'm not so sure about his crack head involvement, but we do know that
Was he? I
we
never
do
heard
know
that
that
before.
Who was smoking crack?
His harassment of
Wasn't
Anita
that
Hill.
mayor from, I don't know,
Oh, I'm getting people mixed up.
Marion Barry or
Marion
something?
Barry was-
supposedly.
Marion Barry has never been a Supreme
But I don't
Court
think he was a
justice.
crackhead, though.
No, he
Just
was.
saying.
He was.
Marion
busted.
Barry was a crackhead.
Yeah,
Was he?
Yes, he was busted in a hotel.
Well, I know he was
smoking on a
busted,
pipe.
but didn't
He had the
wasn't she
pipe. The
coaxing
pipe
him and
had
coaxing
been
him?
grafted to his hand.
Yes.
He was
They
smoking
saw
so much
him.
crack it
Yes.
melted to his hand, and it was
Right.
like it was stuck.
So he was calling his name.
He was
Marion.
caught
Smoking.
crack-handed,
Yes, crack-handed.
as they
That's
say.
cute.
It
That's
seemed
cute.
like he was entrapped to me. I don't know. I saw the video, but that was many, many years ago. So maybe
Yes.
I'm wrong.
So Clarence Thomas, excuse me, I'm sorry, Justice Thomas, for calling you a crackhead. You're not a crackhead. You're just a womanizer accused of sexual harassment.
Yes.
Not a crackhead.
Yes.
Exactly.
Totally different types of douchebaggery. All right, it's 9:15. You're tuned into This is Iyanna Jones on the GoPro Radio Network.
Douchebaggery.
Douchebaggery, that's the word for the day. Spell it right, and we will send you a prize. You will get
Kitty.
this picture, which says, smile, you're on camera. 646-595-3807. 646-595-3807 is the number to call in. You're tuned into This is Iyanna Jones on the GoPro Radio Network. Is you listening?
Is indeed.
And so if you are, let's go to a break. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
Hi, I'm Nina Marcal. I'll be bringing up your purchase today, and my associate Shauna Glover will bag your items.
Hey there.
Hey, nice to meet both of you.
Let's see. Pork rinds, grape soda, genetically modified strawberries.
Yeah.
No me gusta.
Oh.
Okay, I don't want to offend you or anything, but none of this stuff is good for you.
It can't be that bad.
You're practically digging your grave with your teeth.
Yikes.
But don't worry, there are healthier choices that are just as delicious. You can try some dried kale instead of potato chips.
Or even actual grape juice in the place of the purple liquid cavities.
Right.
Also organic fruit instead of the GMOs.
You guys have some good ideas, but how do you know so much about good eating?
Sean and I host the brand new talk show Food Wrap every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the GoPro Radio Network.
Yeah, it's the brand new radio show that's all about good eating. Nina and I will take you on a delicious journey through the latest trends and traditions and alternative eating from the everyday person's perspective.
Wait a minute, I heard about that show, Food Wrap, on the GoPro Radio Network, right?
Yep, it's the perfect weekly digest for anyone looking to beef up on food facts and share their own discoveries.
All right, that's it. I'm putting all this junk back, and I'm making better choices. And the first choice I'm making is to tune into Food Wrap every week from now on.
That's every Saturday at 3 p.m. on the GoPro Radio Network.
At www.goproradio.com.
Where talk never tasted so good.
Talk never tasted so good. And Iyanna Jones has never been so is you listening? Is she listening?
Animated.
Yes. You're tuned into This
loving
is
it.
Iyanna Jones on the GoPro Radio Network, GoProRadio.com. Remember, you can also watch us live. Our antics are not just audio. They are also, or my antics. They're also visual. So check it out. Byron has on this really great hat that says,
No problem, Jamaica.
No problem, Jamaica. Nina has on headphones. They don't say Jamaica on them. We're going to be talking in a bit with Tylon Washington, but first, I guess we can finish up this topic of affirmative action. Or, I know we meandered about into a whole bunch of other different topics, but I also want to talk about this Lauryn Hill thing because, I'm in media, but I swear I can't stand some of it. It's just so mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where the word media comes from. Mediocre. It's like the coverage, what's considered news is just ridiculous. The PR, the constant, ugh. Anyway, affirmative action in danger, slowly eroding it away is what I think the tactic is. Getting people so, annoyed and, overwhelmed with the nitpicking that, they say, you know what? They'd rather watch whoever's Dancing with the Stars or whoever's the idol this year. Mm-hmm. It's too much for people I think it's too much for people to focus on. And I really think that's the methodology. Throw everything out into the atmosphere and then bury, the things that really impact us. Just like how the Patriot Act was signed at 3:00 in the morning or whatever it was.
For New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And people are signing things that are 500 pages long that clearly they haven't even read. What is our country coming to?
Sad to say it, but tomorrow's 4th of July is very hollow.
Yeah.
Very, very hollow. I have no compassion for it whatsoever. I don't want to see a firework. I'm going to barbecue some Texas barbecue and enjoy just a good meal and forget about celebrating the 4th of July as an Independence Day. I'm not independent of this country at the moment.
Well, actually, it's really
Well said, my friend.
it's stimulating the food economy. I'll say that much.
Well, yes.
Well,
It's
that's
definitely
true.
stimulating for the economy because people are going out and buying food and barbecuing and getting grills and so on and so forth. So that's what it's good for, really.
Do you think maybe it speaks to like just this feeling in this country of, because I really do not get into the whole independence thing. It's a travesty. It really is, and it's a hypocrisy of the highest caliber. But you see people in the parks with their families and they're barbecuing, and kids are having a good time, and people are off from school and off from work. And I always try to like leverage, my political perspective with, people are also just going about their day to day lives, and how do you make that transition between, hey, it's fine to gather with your family and have a picnic and spend time, but if you're doing it in the spirit of celebrating this country's independence, well, I mean, that's problematic. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how do you broach that conversation with the average person who's just, happy to have a day off from work?
See, I just read Frederick Douglass' speech on my show, and that used to be a tradition every 4th of July to read that in some public forum and fashion for us as African Americans.
Yes.
And so after reading it, I'm filled with the Frederick Douglass spirit right now, and I'm like him. I don't care about the 4th of July. Not as long as I've got to deal with the Voting Rights Act, the affirmative action, the gay and the same-sex marriage, Civil Union Act, because these are all civil about civil rights. Okay, and at this point, I, like Frederick Douglass, am feeling for my ancestors who fought. 750,000 men and women died in the Civil War. 750,000 men and women and boys. That's an enormous. We haven't lost that many people in all the wars combined. And we were fighting for what? For freedom, civil rights, so-called independence. So for me, they just turned the clock back. I have no joy whatsoever in my heart for the 4th of July. I'm ready for the 5th. Give me a bottle of scotch. Let's go down and jam some.
Yeah. I chalk the 4th of July right up there with Thanksgiving.
Well, it's
We traditionally in my household fast. I mean, last year I kind of cooked, but Instagram. Damn you. Like we've got the pictures to prove.
They caught you. They put you up on
What was that turkey?
Web.
Yeah, it was like me behind the turkey, like.
It's okay.
But I only did it, because it's like I wasn't going to go visit family and stuff like that, and it's hard to I'll be the first to admit it's hard to separate those traditions that you grew up with from your understanding that you've gained as just being a person in the world and developing your own politics and having those things kind of coincide. Even around the holidays, I don't celebrate Christmas, but you find like around that season, people are giving you stuff. You feel like, okay, and I don't mean like in a material respect, but people will just say, happy holidays. You feel inclined to return the sentiment because as a human being, you're communing with other human beings. But all of these holidays, they're just there's this backdrop of just injustice or excess. Or the disparities between those who are running around Black Friday and you got people starving. You have people right now being bombed by drones while you're running around trying to get your new flat screen TV. And it takes a concerted effort to kind of keep those things in perspective.
It does.
And it's hard for us. It's very difficult, I think, for people living in the United States of America to really develop a well-honed political perspective because we're surrounded by so much comfort. Even the poorest of us, there's people running around with like teeth rotting out of their face because they don't have health insurance, but they have an iPhone. There's people whose apartments aren't furnished or they live in the projects where they only got one elevator working, but
They got Air
They have
Jordan tennis shoes
Xbox
on.
360.
Yes.
They have distractions to,
Yes.
how does one stay focused, in that kind of environment? So, I was talking with someone today about the dangers of a hollowed out middle class. This idea that rebellion's coming because these middle class people are going to realize that they're no better off than the poor. But they were saying it like it was a bad thing. I'm like, whatever wakes folks up. It's interesting. It's like now people are literally, I mean, how about that there's no such thing as a middle class?
Dangerous. Very dangerous, because at the flip side of all of that, you got the 1%, and then you got the 99% who are poor. And I'm going to tell you something, revolution will start.
I think that math is off. I think it's
It
more like,
will happen.
I think it's more like the 5%.
Okay, give them 95%, then the 95% of us
95%.
are going to find we're so close to a spark of outrage and right at this moment in our history, our country's history, that it could happen anywhere. And I'm not encouraging it, but they keep pushing. Tea Party Republicans and those who want to see us go backwards, they keep pushing it, and it's going to spark. And when that spark ignites, it's going to flash. It'll be like a flashpoint. Okay.
I don't know.
Unlike Rodney King, unlike the 65 Watts riots, unlike the riots in D.C. after Martin Luther King, because these are moments where people are just saying, you know what, I'm fed up. I can't anymore. I can't take it. I'm down. I'm
But
down
are
and
people
out.
really fed up? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, people seem complacent and lazy, and they don't want to do anything outside of their comfort zone. Like, that's what I'm observing. Like, people are just asleep.
And they
They don't
are.
want to hear it. They don't want to do it. I mean, you see it all over the world. People are uprising against their governments and complaining. And, nobody talks about it in the media. You see pictures of it all over the internet. And here, nobody does anything. Everybody's like, oh, no, I don't want my world to be, disrupted. Let me just keep doing my thing. Let me keep doing my job. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it will, but I don't know when.
I think
I don't see signs of it personally.
I think the fact that we might consider ourselves being as isolationists with respect to what's going on over in Brazil, what's going on in Egypt, what's going on in Bulgaria, what's going on in Venezuela, what's going on, and you can almost point to where there's something going on, and the diaspora is what's is engaging it right now. Pharaoh's army is just being thrown out the window, and the military is about to take over. In fact, the coup has already started, according to this morning's wire services in Egypt. The coup is already engaged.
That's in Egypt.
That's in Egypt, but
Ain't no coup up in here.
It's people of color. I just gave you places of people of color who are part of the diaspora. And yes, those complacent Negroes sitting here in this country are the most susceptible to
But we can't.
Everybody's
But we
complacent,
can't.
though.
We can't.
It's
We
everybody.
can't.
incident.
But we can't, just categorize them all as complacent Negroes. I mean, I just like rattled off a litany of distractions. Even some of the things that are going on in politics, are distractions. This idea that there's, I'm sorry, Republicans versus the Democrats. I mean, on the surface, sure. And certain people who are engaged in that constant debating back and forth between the two parties, sure, they really mean what they say and they really feel how they feel. But, when you're looking at this from a systemic perspective, you could literally interchange any of these players and still you'd have the same issues. These constant, they revitalize themselves. They reanimate every 4 years or every 8 years, every 12 years. These issues come back around. And I mean, I think it's just, it's part of the same system that is corrupt. Now, when you talk about a diaspora of people who are, rising up doing this, why don't we know about it? Maybe part of the problem is because a lot of us are not historically inclined. We're not interested in finding out about current events around the world. Okay, that's not everybody's cup of tea. I don't think every single citizen of the United States is supposed to, be a scholar, or an historian. or a journalist for that matter. People can say, it's your responsibility to be informed. But, the reality is everybody doesn't play every role. So now we've got a media in place that we expect, we hope, will inform us about what's going on around the world. After all, you've got all the resources to fly to these various countries and, risk mortar fire to get the story and bring it back to the people. And we trust that what you say is going to be the truth and that you're not going to be standing in a green screen somewhere with somebody waving palm trees, CNN, BBC, okay,
Fox.
and pretending to be, in the thick of it.
Yeah, right.
But this is what goes on. Except it doesn't go on at the GoPro Radio Network. I'll tell you that right now. There's nothing green screened about the awesomeness that you are bearing witness to at this moment.
Because we come to you live from the chocolate studios of the BW Moving Images every Wednesday and Saturday.
And we come correct, except
That's
Byron.
right.
I don't understand. It's like whenever you keeping it real, you start doing this thing. It's like a little racist. No, I'm just kidding. It's really not. Byron C. Saunders of the BCS Experience. Nina Markell of Food Rap. I'm Iyanna Jones. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back on This is Iyanna Jones. Is you listening?
I is indeed.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
You want to know the truth, folks? Do you really want to know the truth? Well, perhaps you can't handle the truth. But if you can listen to GoPro Radio. Tune in at www.goproradio.com. Now, have I made myself clear?
GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. I know I do.
All right, and we're back. You're tuned in to This is Iyanna Jones on the GoPro Radio Network, GoProRadio.com. I want to remind everybody the number to call in is 646-595-3807. That's 646-595-3807. We are now joined in studio. He has replaced Byron C. Saunders for the last half hour of the show. So if you were looking at that chair and you saw Byron C. Saunders, except now you see Tylon Washington, it is not a figment of your imagination. It is not a trick played upon you by your government. He is, in fact, in the house. Let's give it up for Tylon Washington. Hey, Tylon.
Hey.
I want to talk to you about something.
Okay.
I heard on the grapevine, I heard something. I heard a secret. I heard a secret about this place. I heard that Iron Metropolis has a secret.
Absolutely it does.
What is that about?
Well, Iron Metropolis is a mix show that includes a narrative from an excellent writer that I know named Miss Iyanna Jones.
Who's that?
She wrote this really terrific short story called New Metropolis. And the story is about prisons that sometimes we make for ourselves. Yep. And sometimes the prisons have to do with comfort. So she created this place called Iron Metropolis where everyone flocks to, not realizing that one of its secrets is that it's a prison. And I was reading the script while I was listening to this DJ Vince, his mix show, and it seemed like the story was going along with the music. And then I said, wait a minute, this is a good idea. I could probably integrate this story. And I've been thinking about getting back into the whole DJing thing because that's how I got my start in the music business, just through music. And matter of fact, I did the first record on one of the most popular, I think, dance music labels, Strictly Rhythm. A song called Thank you.
That's a great accomplishment.
A song called Feel the Rhythm of House. And
can you feel it?
Yeah, that's right. And since then, I've been going into, film and so forth. And I've been really missing music. And so I just integrated the music with the story. And we came up with Iron Metropolis. It's a mix show with really, really terrific music. And excellent social commentary from folks like in this episode, Charlie Chapman and Deepak Chopra and who else?
Jack.
Oh, and Jack himself,
Somebody
one of the
named Jack.
characters. Yeah. And lots more to come. It's a really really cerebral kind of story. At the same time, it's a magnificent love story. So if you love love stories and you love house music and you love sci-fi and you love fantasy and you love drama and you love intrigue and action, you definitely want to go to Iron Metropolis.
And how do they get there? How does one get to Iron Metropolis? And when does the train or the plane or the spaceship or the rocket or the time vortex leave for Iron Metropolis?
That's every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m.
And you can
on the GoPro Radio Network.
Right. I mean, it was a really interesting, process to be able to do that, because you were reading it and you were coming up with music. But just for folks who don't know, just in terms of the process, it's definitely a collaborative one. And those are usually the best, projects, when you collaborate with people that you have a lot of respect for in terms of their creativity and their vision. And being a sci-fi geek myself, one of the things about house music is it's very transcending. It takes you someplace else. I think that's why it's so popular in the clubs. I
dare you to sit still. I triple dare you just to try to sit still. House music is just one of those kinds of music that just, you can't help but to be productive. I listen to it all the time, especially when I have work to do and things to do. It sets the tempo in a sense for my life. It's also, it's one of those abusive type of music where it lends itself to a lot of real estate, and that real estate is where we interjected the story. It has a very long intro and outro and long breaks.
That's indicative of
house music.
Yeah,
they do that so that DJs can mix in and stuff like that and make it very DJ friendly to ensure that the DJs would play it. So utilizing that mechanism, I put in this. I think it's just a really, really terrific story. I can actually see Iron Metropolis becoming a graphic novel, a television show, a feature film, book series, and just really, really interesting and powerful characters, and talks about sometimes machines in the future can act more human than human beings.
And that's a great premise. And I, listening to some of the songs, and actually, if you don't mind, we're going to play just a little bit later in the program. But, one of the things that's interesting about house music is that, it's been, there are a number of different genres even within it. So you've got like electronica, you've got techno, you've got deep house, you've got tribal, you're more learned than me. I'm just now learning about all this stuff, but you have tribal, you have I think I said techno already, freestyle, which kind of has a few of those elements.
We have graphic house
we have graphic house. Yes,
we're coming up with.
And I think what's interesting about house music is that there are so many future forward aspects to it, like things that sound like machines making music. And then you've got these soulful voices, or you've got these soulful rhythms that incorporate, like the drum, which originated in Africa. And so for me, it's a very soulful music because it incorporates sort of the continuum of the human experience in terms of music.
Absolutely.
From analog, acoustic stuff, to the voice itself, to the drum, then to the synthesizer and music processors, and incorporating all it into stuff is just crazy. And then so when you add a narrative, when you add a story, it's like downright hypnotic.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons why we launched Iron Metropolis one day before the 4th of July, which celebrates independence, liberation, and freedom, is that this is a story that explores what that means in today's society. A lot of times, a lot of folks feel like freedom is, I guess, just going anywhere they want to go and doing whatever it is that they want to do when they want to do it. And if you were to ask yourself, can you really do that today? I bet you most of the people would say, no, they can't. So, we thought it was just an appropriate time to launch this. both musically and then in terms of its ideas and its concepts, and just sparking, I think, a debate internally with people, not even in a place, but internally with regard to, what is freedom, in the context of people's own relationships with other people, and the things that confine you. And we find today that people have a lot of comforts, and but is that freedom? Could you be in a cell with a plasma TV where you can watch your show and it's still a cell, or iPod or iPad and still be in a virtual prison, if you will? So I think people should tune in and find out what happens to our wonderful characters, Jack and Maria, because it's a wonderful love story as well, and explore all the inner possibilities of their own lives, and just enjoy some really terrific music by some of the best remixers that are out there. Some of the legends like the late Jason Lode, some of the other John Robinson, Larry Levan, from back in the garage days. So a lot of folks who are fans of their vision and their creativity is going to also tune in and love and enjoy Iron Metropolis.
I think that's great because, you're mixing a community, aspect to it as well as the music. I mean, the historical information alone is very valuable to me. I don't know much about the DJs, or, any aspect of house, but I'm finding and even working on this project and seeing, all of the different resources that you're pulling from is that this is a huge thing. I mean, people are all over the country. They're on different platforms and they're just DJing and just sharing music with people, and people are tuning in. I mean, this might be something that's new to me. Is this a new thing where DJs are just all over the internet and they're just literally spinning live for folks and you can just tune in?
I think house music, unlike any of the other music genres, lends itself to people who love life, liberation, freedom. They are always exploring new ways to communicate. They may not be musicians in the traditional sense where they can play certain instruments. Of course, some do, but the overwhelming majority of them love, music, and find different ways to create and actually embrace technology, and not in a way where it's harmful, but in a way that I think is innovative, utilizing instrumentation. Even the invention of this new form that we're calling graphic house music. House provides that platform to do that, to communicate, to share, and that's what we want to do with Iron Metropolis.
It certainly does make a lot of room for you to integrate different things and change it, and it's not rigid in that way. So just like jazz was sort of the revolutionary music for the 60s, it was experimental. Hip hop, rap was the revolutionary music for the 80s. I really think that the graphic house is going to be finally the revolutionary change to music that we've been waiting for the last couple of decades.
And it's also a way to explore and look at, or in fact reimagine, some artists that you are used to listening to, like Jill Scott, who has an appearance on here, Michael Jackson, who has an appearance on here. And people are going to hear versions of their music that they perhaps have not heard before.
That's great. All right, well, we're going to listen to some of it in just a second. I just want to remind folks that they can tune into Iron Metropolis every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on the GoPro Radio Network, GoProRadio.com. And the music is mixed and by the master of DJ phenomenal awesomeness. That's your new title. Remember that.
I like it.
Okay. Tylon Usavier Washington, he's the visionary behind the GoPro Radio Network and now the visionary behind Iron Metropolis. You just keep coming up with these fantastic institutions. This is an institution that's going to live in people's minds, I think, for a long time.
Well, I'm inspired by the terrific company that I keep, yourself, Nina, Shauna, Muhammad El Safti, the great folks on GoPro Radio, Kay Thompson, who had a show here prior to your show. Also, we want to mention Byron C. Saunders, who's just a terrific individual, on top of a guy who's really learning. He's a librarian when it comes to Black history and art and culture.
He's an archivist.
Yes,
as a matter of fact, let's give everybody who just mentioned a round of applause.
And can I give a shout out?
Sure.
To Tayana and Tatiana.
Yes.
Who are aspiring filmmakers who are working on film projects right now, who just graduated. with honors and distinction from their high school, Talented Unlimited. I want to shout out to the folks there. That was a really good high school. And I just want to give them a shout out for all their love and support.
All right. Are you ready? Are you ready to go to jail?
Ready like Freddy.
All right. Well, we're going to visit that prison known as Iron Metropolis right
The
now.
beautiful Iron Metropolis.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will soon breach the sound barrier. Beyond this point, your safety harness will automatically be engaged. For this trip, no baggage is required. Iron Metropolis will supply all that you need. Welcome to Iron Metropolis, the city you should never sleep on.
I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, and we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. We think too much and feel too little. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. Do not despair. Do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men. Machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty. Fight for liberty. Fight for liberty. You, the people, have the power. The power to create machines. The power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful. To make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world. A decent world that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
All right. I was playing my applause, but I don't know what happened to my track.
That was awesome, by the way.
Oh, there we go.
Really awesome.
I'm so inspired by that because it's like
Love
it's
it.
dope music, but then it's like amazing like mind nourishment, and it's just like brilliant artistry from, from film.
From the
Charlie
Lunday Brothers, who
Yes.
did the song, "Can You Feel It," which is a remix, and then me mixing in Charlie Chaplin, I'm sorry, from The Great Dictator.
Love that
and then
movie.
sound effects.
Love that movie.
That's where the creativity came in, integrating his speech into what their creativity. So it's mixing creative, sort of like what a film director does.
Yeah,
mix
that
the
which you
creativ-
are.
yeah.
You are the director of Disappearing Voices, The Decline of Black Radio,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, folks can get at disappearingvoices.com. Talon Washington will sign a copy if you order it today.
Only on the This Is Iyanna Jones show.
That's right. That's
I
the
will-
only place, okay?
That's right. I will sign it and say some special words.
Awesome. So you are a film director, but you're pulling all these different elements together, and it's interesting because you can take something that's visual and see how it could work with something that's just audio.
Right.
Just to make something that's just even more compelling. I mean, certainly the images are great. Charlie Chaplin was great in the film, and he wrote and directed the film. By the way, was a brilliant writer and actor and director. But you're taking something that was made so long ago, and it's so relevant today.
Right.
And now you've got this soundtrack that's so current,
Right.
but sounds so tribal as if it could have been ancient. It's just like to me it represents the time continuum, and it's just really, really powerful. So I'm totally like nerding out right now.
I thought it. I'm sure he didn't know the Lunday Brothers, and maybe they may not. I don't know if they knew who he was, but it seemed like the track was made for that. For that speech,
Right.
and to integrate it was like a no-brainer,
But also
And so
a
that
stroke of genius. It wasn't just a no-brainer. I mean,
absolutely.
you
And-
could have put it with any track.
Yeah, absolutely. But I thought, to really explain, in a sense, what Iron Metropolis was, I thought it was important to premiere that sequence, for the premiere show. To kind of set the stage for what people are going to be hearing in the future.
Right. So it's more than just a narrative, the story of Jack and Maria, the love story and what's happening. It's more than just a backdrop of Iron Metropolis in terms of what the secrets are. And I'm sure there are many, even
absolutely.
beyond it just being, what you revealed.
Absolutely.
But also you've got these jewels that you drop in every now and then, because even though I'm sure that the speech from the Great Dictator has some relevance to the story, it's still standalone
Absolutely.
to the point where people can be inspired by that. They can listen to that. Do you have any plans to sort of parcel out the different aspects of it for different reasons? I don't know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can just see somebody sort of jacking that aspect of it and putting it somewhere and
And you know what? That's the thing about house music. I mean, I can imagine there's a lot of lawsuits or whatever, but I think if you are really familiar with the community, you're familiar with some of the folks, some of the players, some of the promoters, it really is a family. And people actually encourage people to be creative and even more creative. Like if you push the envelope, that's totally fine. People aren't always out to get you. That's why it's very sample happy.
Right. Okay. It's like the George Lucas of music.
Right. Because it actually brings folks to the artist, people who are not familiar with, let's say, I don't know, I use Jill Scott for a perfect example, a remix and the house version, and she's pretty much a household name. But people hearing this type of version, I think brings not only light to the remixer and the creator, but brings still more light and relevancy to Jill Scott. So
if we can find that Jill Scott part? I mean, maybe we can take out with that one because that's one of my favorite songs.
Really?
The whole thing.
Yeah. So
our online engineer, shout out to Shauna Glover, she'll be like queuing that up. Not the Jill Scott, just the part in the Iron Metropolis where her song comes in. You may have to like listen to it outside of the thing so that you can cue it up. Because I want to take it out with that song. I love that song.
Well, in case she's unable to cue it up in time, it's a part where Jack talks about being hated. And I think everyone. I think that's why it's such a popular term. Everyone has been hated on.
Hated on. People hating on me. Yeah.
and so he comes into a place it's unfamiliar and can feel the stares and the looks and so forth and so on because he appears to be perfect in a lot of different ways, and folks are in a sense hating. So so we integrate the songs that are in a very real sense connected to the story narrative. So it's not just songs that are just thrown in because
it really is.
So it's a lot of research that kind of goes into it, a lot of listening to songs and trying to figure out what fits best in the story and the narrative.
Okay.
So
I mean, and if you have the song here, I mean, we can play a little bit of it. That's fine.
Well,
too.
sure. I'll plug it in. I'll cue it up.
So,
we're going to hear speeches from Malcolm X,
mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, music from house music from different eras,
mm-hmm.
In house from the 80s, disco.
They got it in the studio. So before we play it, because we have about 4 minutes left of the show, and we'll play out. I want to thank Nina for coming in from Food Rap. You have an amazing show coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
You're cooking the specialty dish this week.
I'm cooking the specialty dish, and we're going to be giving barbecue tips out.
Uh-oh.
Are there going to be samples?
Are you going to be giving out barbecue?
They're going to be samples.
The only tips I want are rib tips. The only are you going to be, because the only tips I want are rib tips. Are you bringing?
Me don't cook
Pork.
swine, man. Me
That's
don't cook
beef
swine.
Ribs?
I actually have a specialty dish that I think you're going to love.
Oh, yeah, get ready. Okay, so that's Saturday at 3 o'clock on the GoPro Radio Network. And, of course, Iron Metropolis on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Saturday, the lineup is going to be, so it's Food Rap at 3. We've got the Glenn Z Show at 4.
Yeah.
We have New Radio Generation at 6 o'clock and the Sexy Party Show at 7. So, there's always something fantastic, something mind-blowing, something creative, something delicious, something provocative happening at the GoPro Radio Network. So make sure you tune in at GoProRadio.com. So why don't you just refresh everybody's memory, Tylon, in terms of what this particular aspect of Iron Metropolis is that's coming up now with the Jill Scott track and its relevance to the story. And then we will ask our online engineer to take it away.
Well, as I said, Jack is new to Iron Metropolis, this place of abundance, wealth, beauty. The folks who are in charge, they go through, I think, a lot of changes to see to it that folks don't recognize that they are, in fact, in a prison, because it's easy to get in, but you cannot get out of Iron Metropolis.
All right, so we're going to listen to Iron Metropolis right now. You're tuned into This is Iyanna Jones on the GoPro Radio Network, GoProRadio.com. Is you listening?
I is.
I'm listening.
All right, take it away.
Peach pie, would you slap me out? Would you slap me down? Out of my own womb, would you feel the love in that? Or I find out your own. If I gave you sanity for the whole of humanity, had all the solutions for the pain and pollution. No matter where I live, the same things I give, you'll always be afraid. So go ahead and help me.
90 seconds. Seconds.